I will be giving you a short lecture about what research really is and what you need to do to conduct a research. Okay, so basically, introduction to research. Okay, so research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. Okay, so when people do research or they conduct a research, right, they want to analyze, to understand further, or even to solve a problem. Okay, so the three major steps of research will be, you need to pose a question first. What is it that you would like to find out from this research that you are conducting? Okay, so now that you have a question, you need to go and answer your question. So what do you need to do? You need to collect data to answer that question. Okay, after you have collected the data, right, you need to dissect your data, analyze and evaluate it, and then present an answer to the question that you have posed earlier. Okay, so this will be the three major, or we would say fundamental steps of conducting a research. Okay, I saw in your answer, some of you have written that. Okay, next. Okay, so what exactly is research? Okay, research is a careful, systematic, patient study and investigation in some field of knowledge undertaken to discover or establish facts and principles. Okay, so when you conduct research, right, you know roughly what is it about. Like, as for example, PLNG003, you were actually conducting a mini research already, like poverty. You are finding what is the problem with poverty, what are the effects of poverty. So you know, but you want to actually establish facts, discover certain things that you do not already know, okay, and come to a conclusion. So that is why you had a careful, systematic study. For example, you pose a question, okay, after that you actually conducted, you actually did the research in a very systematic manner, where you had a question, then you try to answer the question by collecting data from survey questionnaires. After that, you interview an organization to find out even more, okay, so that you will be able to understand certain knowledge of facts and principles that encompasses poverty. So this is research. Okay, it's not like you simply just go online, search a few things here and there, oh, that's my research. It's not like that. It's more complicated and more what I would call is more wholesome. Okay, so it's something that is more detailed, okay, as compared to your previous research that you have done before. So this is basically what a research is. Okay, so what are the aims of education research? We call this education research. Okay, education research adds to our knowledge because now it contributes to an existing issue or problem. Okay, we will be able to get solutions to an issue or problem, and that we will be able to address a gap in knowledge. A gap in knowledge meaning something that we don't know yet. You will be able to fill that gap, that void, that whatever that we don't know, you will be able to fill that in. So you conduct a research in order to know. Okay, so apart from that, research improves practice. Okay, it offers educators with new practices that have been tried in other settings or situations. Okay, so it offers people in that field something new. Okay, so that they can try it out, but it might be based on something that maybe people in Finland has done, but people in Malaysia has not been doing it. So we are trying to see if the framework in Finland can be implemented and applied in the Malaysian setting, something like that. Okay, so helps educators evaluate approaches that work with individuals in educational settings. Okay, and finally, research informs policy debates. Okay, based on research, the policy makers will be able to see, oh, okay, this educational setting, this framework that works in Finland, we are trying to conduct a research and see if it works in Malaysian settings. So if it works, okay, the policy makers, maybe the MOHE, Ministry of Education or Ministry of Higher Education, they will be the ones that try to implement all these these approaches and framework here. Okay, so it will actually offer them that perspective. Okay, look, our education system has been like been a very long, we didn't improve, update, it's like been since zaman dinosaur like that. So now we have something new, we are trying to implement it here. Okay, so this is why we do research. Okay, it adds to our knowledge, it improves our practices, okay, and also it informs policy debates. Okay, so that new concepts, theories can be applied and improve whatever that we have been doing. All right, so for example, this is a research that has been done. Only 28% of students achieve a minimum credit in the 2011 SPM English paper against Cambridge 1119 standards. Okay, poor English proficiency among fresh graduates has since 2006 also been consistently ranked as one of the top 5 issues facing Malaysian employers. Now, this is a problem. Can you imagine only 28% of students, they achieve a minimum credit in SPM English? Okay, so, and among employers means bosses, people, managers who are hiring people to work for them, they find that fresh graduates, one of the biggest problem is that they cannot communicate well. They are very bad in English. Okay. So again, poor command of English language and communication skills were cited by employers as among top reasons. Studies showed 46% of candidates who had intended to further their tertiary education only obtained band 1 or 2, the lowest in the Malaysian University English test MUET. So what is the issue in our Malaysian education system now? So one of the issue, as we can see, is that our students, our graduates, are not good in English. They are not proficient in English. So this is a major problem. Okay, so that's why in the past, I believe, or I'm sure, I'm sure lah, okay, that educators, researchers in the education field have conducted research on how to actually improve students' English proficiency. That's why they have a lot of different things, right? Like, for example, they tried to implement English in maths and science, but that failed terribly as well. And as of late, they're trying to bring that back in. I'm not sure what is the status now, because, you know, we have bigger problems to address to right now. Okay, so we have a problem. We try to actually solve that problem. So we conduct research to see if we can solve this problem. Okay, so this is basically what research is all about. Okay, basically there are 6 steps of research process. Like, for example, just now I told you, right, identify a research problem. Problem with Malaysian students is that they are not proficient in English. Okay, so we need to then review the literature. We need to go to Google Scholar, not Google, not the normal regular Google. We need to go to Google Scholar, where all the scholars, the researchers have conducted research in a systematic manner to actually address and to further discover and understand the problem. Okay, we want to see what other researchers have been doing and how they have actually tried to solve this problem here where students are not proficient in English. So we look back into what other people have done before. Okay, then after that we have looked back into what other people have done. We try to specify a purpose for our research then. Okay, what is the purpose of our research? To find out, maybe you say, why students are not proficient in English. How to actually improve the English proficiency among Malaysian students. Okay, these are all the purpose. Okay, and then now that you have a purpose, you have a question, you have a problem to solve. Now we are going to collect data. Okay, how do we collect data? We have a few techniques which I will be teaching you in the next class, not today. Okay, because then there will be information overload. Okay, so we have to collect data. For example, survey questionnaires, observations. We go to classroom to observe why students are not good in English. We observe the way English is taught. Okay, and then we collect survey questionnaire. We give questionnaires to the teachers, how they teach, to understand how they teach. We give survey questions to students to understand what is the difficulty or why they cannot master the language. Okay, so all this, and then we can even do an interview with the teachers and the students to understand the pedagogy, the teaching and learning pedagogy. Okay, now that we have all the data, right, we have survey questionnaire, we have observation, we have interviews. Now we need to analyze, dissect, and interpret and evaluate the data. Okay, why? Then we answer that question, we write it in a report, and we evaluate the research. So this is the final step. Okay, basically, right, identifying a research problem here is chapter 1. Reviewing the literature is chapter 2. Reviewing the literature is chapter 2. Okay, this number 3 is actually together with yeah, correct. This is chapter 3. Specifying a purpose for research is chapter 3. Collecting data is chapter 4. Analyzing and interpreting 4 and 5 is chapter 4. And then okay, I think I've basically told you in brief what is it about. Okay, like identifying a research problem, you need to specify what's the issue you want to study. Okay, why you want to study it. Okay, and why is it important to study? So that is research problem. We cannot just simply pick a problem. We need to have a rationale of why we are researching on this problem. After that, we are reviewing the literature. Okay, how are we going to look for past studies that people have conducted before? For example, locate books, journals. Okay, these are all how the way we are going to actually look into what other people have studied before in the past. Then we are going to choose the literature. The literature means past studies. We're going to choose the literature, and then that are actually related to our topic. We will summarize it and actually write it in a report. Okay, after that, we are going to identify the major objective for our study and narrow it down into questions. Okay, we are not doing hypothesis, we are doing questions only. Okay, so the purpose statement contains the major focus of the study, the participants in the study, and the location of the study. So we now need to identify what is the main objective, who are we studying. It could be kids, it could be adults, it could be young adults, it could be teenagers. So we need to pick a particular or specific participants. And then where are we going to study it? In the high school, in the university, in Malaysia, in the whole wide world, in Semenanjung, in West Malaysia, East Malaysia, where? So this will all be narrowly selected and explained, clarified in this part of the research. Basically, number 1 is chapter 1, rationale, background of the study. Chapter 2 is literature review. Number 2. Number 3 is research methodology. Okay, can you go to the next one, please? Okay, next, like I told you before, then we're going to collect data. We're going to identify, select individuals for a study. We're going to gather information by asking them questions or even observing them, like what I told you before. Survey questionnaire, classroom observations, and interviews. Okay, but you don't have to do all 3. You can pick. For the purpose of our course, I'm only asking you to do survey questionnaire. Okay, because it's easy and it is. I'm going to standardize this okay. And then after we have collected data, like I told you earlier, we're going to analyze and interpret the data. Okay, we are going to draw conclusions in the study, represent it in forms of tables, figures, and pictures to summarize it, like pie chart, graphs. Okay, so then we explain the conclusion in words to provide answers to research questions. Okay, so this is actually conclusion already. Okay, so now chapter 4 and number 4 and 5 is what we call findings. Okay, then after that we have something called the conclusion. Reporting and evaluating research. Write the report in a format acceptable to different audiences, and then we assess the quality of the study using standards advanced by individuals in education. So basically, we're going to write the report. Okay, the report is our research paper. Okay, we're going to assess our study. Okay, we're going to find out what is the implications of our research, how it will help policymakers, teachers, or even students. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, the 5 chapters. Okay, so I'm done with